your
gonna
child,
happen is gonna
you would
be
support your
harmful.
child bullying someone because their mum did OnlyFans?
Repeat the question.
Would you support your child bullying my child because I do OnlyFans?
Would I support my child bullying your child because he's seen some of your content online?
No, because I do OnlyFans.
Because you do OnlyFans.
Mhm.
You know what? Yes. Bully that little kid. Listen, if it's out there, I say bully all of them. Oh,
All right, I
your
see that
mom
as
stuff
much
got
more a
leaked?
reflection of you than me
Great.
personally.
Listen, your mom footage got. I think that those women that do own.
So Diddly Donger is once again in a debate about if OF is harmful to society. She was on the Raging Tomatoes channel and she debated No Fugazi, I believe his name is Cooley. And I don't know what this girl's name is, but she teamed up with this freaking guy right here. Yeah, you could tell. And you could tell this guy right here was obviously like, no, man, OF is cool. I don't know how many accounts he subscribes to. It's probably a few. But will Diddly Donger be able to convince everybody that, no, actually, OF is good? It's a good thing. And shut down Cooley? Or will Cooley lay out the common sense, the facts, and just the overall better morality and smack her down? Let's see how this debate on the Raging Tomatoes channel goes down.
What we govern and the laws and regulations that we push forth, we have a role as well. Collectively, we have a role. So I believe before whom, that's your name, right? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, but you can just call me Jaden.
Call you what?
Jaden.
Oh, Jaden. Okay, Jaden. Yep. Well, I mean, so when you look at, countries that expand, content like, Corn, OnlyFans, paid subscriptions of sex work and stuff like that, when they open up these markets, they do have higher rates of human trafficking, sex trafficking, and stuff like that. So on a societal level, it is harmful. Not only that, you get a lot of the top OnlyFans content creators, they have managers, which is like these e-pimps that pimp them out, which they take a percentage of the money that the women make and they exploit them. They exploit them a lot. You get what I'm saying? So you would think that that's harmful, right?
Yeah, that is harmful.
Okay. And so this isn't harmful on a societal level?
I don't think it reaches.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
Forget about before you get to a societal level, like before we have a society, we have relationships, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you would agree that, it wouldn't be a good thing if these relationships were damaged from the men consuming porn or their women creating this type of content. You would agree to that, right? If it was like,
I don't really grant that though, because I don't agree with you that people shouldn't masturbate. I think that's a perfectly normal thing. It's a healthy thing.
Okay. What about you, Diddly? Do you agree that men shouldn't men should masturbate and watch, consume?
Well, and women as well.
It's not about whether they should or shouldn't. I think it's up to the individual, but there's nothing wrong with masturbating. Okay. It has health benefits. It has self-esteem benefits. Feels great. Stress relief.
Well, you've listed some benefits.
Good for your self-esteem? Listen. I don't know how many men out there after they're done, playing pocket pool. I don't know how many of them finish and feel good about themselves. I don't know how high their self-confidence is after. I think it's actually the opposite. You usually feel really dirty about it after. So I don't know where she's getting this it's better self-confidence thing from. It's not. She's right. It feels good. Obviously, it feels good. But just because something feels good doesn't mean you're supposed to do it or it's a good thing for you to do it. Drugs make you feel good. Doesn't mean you're supposed to do it or it's good for you to do it.
I can list many things that's harmful, like addiction, people getting addicted to it, like how if you're masturbating, you lose the sense and the urge to really have actual sex with your partner, and how you can't keep a woody. You need to take a blue pill to get an erection. So as you can list these little, you mentioned some positive effects. There's many, many negative effects, and also the mental negative effects that it has on men. But question for you. Hypothetically, if you were in a relationship and your man was flirting with a girl through Instagram DMs, would you say that that's cheating?
Flirting with someone? What, like saying that they're hot?
He was like, say if a chick slid in his DM and was like, hey, honey, and he was giving her attention back and, communicating with her.
I personally wouldn't care, but I'm definitely an outlier in that respect. So,
yeah. Hello, I'm calling bullshit on that. I'm calling bullshit.
Okay, so but they were flirting. Would you care if your man was flirting with another girl through Instagram DMs?
I wouldn't care. Like I said, I'm an outlier, so I'm obviously not gonna. Most people aren't gonna have that opinion.
Okay, so so with that being said, you're concluding that most people wouldn't be okay with their man flirting with a woman through Instagram DMs, right?
Sure.
Okay. So in one of the logical entailment of why they wouldn't be okay with it is because you're giving another woman attention. You're talking to another woman, you're communicating with another woman, right?
Well, yeah, it would be outside of the established boundaries of the relationship, which is no flirting with other people.
And do you think that most women would consider that cheating?
Flirting with someone else? Probably,
right?
Yeah.
So now think about if they're in a relationship, right? But he's watching someone's OnlyFans and whacking off.
So watching porn is not the same thing as flirting with someone.
Wait. Let me finish
Go ahead.
the question. Now, we got that. I do know that watching porn or OnlyFans and whacking off is not the same as flirting with a girl. Is not on the same level. I would say a man watching porn and masturbating to another woman is much worse than just communicating with a girl, especially the girls on OnlyFans, because they can message them directly and the girls would message them back.
Well, on top of that too, it costs money to subscribe to OnlyFans girls. So imagine it's like your husband, all right? That money could be going to supporting your family, buying your kids clothes, buying food for the family and stuff. And instead, a portion of that income is going to another woman pretty much. I mean, what would be the difference then between, the only difference between your husband or even your boyfriend going to subscribing to an OnlyFans and then visit? At that point, the only difference between your husband or your boyfriend subscribing to an OnlyFans model and going to see a prostitute in person every week is the fact that there's no contact between the guy and the OnlyFans girl. That's the only difference. But other than that, they're pretty much the same.
To you personally, watching porn is worse?
No,
Wait, David, can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, real quick. I got you. JD, what's...
Jaden.
I'm horrible with names. Jaden, my bad.
It was my fault because I butchered it in the beginning. So
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. The point that I'm trying to illustrate here is that that most people would not be okay if their man was just flirting with a girl through DMs. Yeah. They never met that girl. Yeah. They never seen any new pictures of the girl. They're just messaging through DMs, and the girl would consider it cheating. Versus a man subscribe to a woman's OnlyFans, messaging her. The woman is sending new content back. He's masturbating to this new content. You wouldn't think that's cheating. You are promoting cheating.
Well, it depends if people consider watching porn while you're in a relationship as cheating.
You already said
Many people
that
don't.
Most people, no, you've already...
Why are you conflating watching porn with flirting?
What I'm saying is that it's an entire higher level. Think about it. We just went through it. No, to every human being, most people.
Let me ask you a question.
Real quick. Let me just illustrate this out. Let's not run from this point real quick, and then I'll let you ask your question.
Okay.
The difference is, let's walk through it again. A man DMing a chick, that's just a DM. He's flirting with the girl. There's no nudity. She's not sending any videos. He's just flirting. It's only a conversation versus a man subscribed to a woman's OnlyFans, messaging her. She's messaging him back with videos. He's beating his meat to her videos, which is actually cheating. We would have to say the latter is cheating. We would have to say the man doing all that is cheating.
Now, initially you started with just watching OnlyFans, but now you're saying you're messaging them on OnlyFans, and flirting?
That is what OnlyFans is. You can watch content and message people.
Okay, I'm a top creator on OnlyFans. The percentage of people that are in my messages is astronomically low to the percentage of the total subscribers.
That is totally fine. Can people message you and can you message people back?
Yes.
Okay, so then my analogy maps on perfectly.
It doesn't.
What I'm
Majority
illustrating
of people
here
who
is
subscribe to creators on OnlyFans simply watch videos. They don't interact with the.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The fact is that the fact that people can message you at all and talk to you on there and stuff like that. It doesn't matter what the percentage is.
DMs whatsoever.
We can just.
Just like more accurate to
what I'm illustrating here is that it's more potent. It's more. It would be considered. I think most women would consider a man subscribed to a woman's OnlyFans, and even if he's not messaging her, even if he's just consuming the content of this individual, most women would think that that's cheating, just like most women would think that if their man flirted with the girl through DMs is cheating. What I'm saying here is that you are promoting cheating. If you are promoting cheating, this would be the destruction of families and children. This would be the destruction of society. What if before a society happens, a relationship happens? If you destroy relationships, you destroy society. It's harmful.
So
what don't you get?
On your assumption, most people would view watching pornography as cheating.
Okay, let's just bring it down.
Sure
step again. Do you think most women would think that if their man was flirting with a woman in their DMs is cheating? You already said
we've
yes.
Already established that,
so now let's move it along. If a woman found out that her man was subscribed to a chick OnlyFans and was whacking off, you don't think that she would consider it cheating? One is just
See
DMs.
How you've moved the
other one
again now?
It isn't goalposts. It's two
you went
different
from
things.
Watching porn to now you're DMing the chick on OnlyFans, and now you've gone back to just simply watching porn. So can we just what exactly are you
doing? I went ahead and took away the DMs.
I also wanted to note that Jaden still had his question, so I do want us to recognize that.
I want to ask it to Kat. Kat, are you in a relationship?
Yes.
Okay, so how would you feel if you caught your partner watching porn versus they came and told you, sorry, Kat, bad news, I'm in love with someone else? How would you feel about that?
I don't have the same view as him, but for the sake of the argument, for the sake,
which one would make you feel worse?
In love with someone.
Yeah, because it's mainly about the emotional attachment, right? That's what hurts when you get cheated on.
But the physical is a huge thing, because it
is. But I think most people would agree that if there's no emotional attachment to anything, like just jacking it to someone random that you've never talked to, you never will talk to, you don't know anything about them, it's a lot worse than if someone left you because they fell in love with someone else, right?
Sure. What does that have to do with my views? Nothing. So I don't know.
Well, it's just to demonstrate that David's point where he's saying that men masturbating while they're in relationships is worse than flirting with someone.
No, flirting. You don't even. Are you even a man? If a chick is flirting with the chick, it's not emotions. No one assuming emotions. What are you talking about, bro?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, yeah, this Jaden guy looked like, you could tell, like, he looked like he was just pulling this argument out of his ass as he was going along. No, it's not just the emotional aspect of it. Yeah, I don't think if I were going out and cheating on my wife and I had no emotional attachment to these girls, I was just going and banging them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my wife would be just as unhappy as if I came home and said, you know what, I'm in love with this other woman. Like, I think she would be equally as unhappy in either of those situations. And likewise, I would be equally as unhappy if my wife did the exact same things. I would not care if my wife had any emotional attachments or not to the men that she was cheating on me with. I would not care. Also, too, I think Cooley could make the argument without having to conflate it with actual flirting, because again, you could make the argument about how watching adult material, watching porn, can be harmful to the relationship and does have real life effects. I mean, he himself brought up the whole, guys, when they could get addicted to it, it could become a problem. It could also affect their, it could cause erectile dysfunction, which those things affect the relationship. It could also lead the man to going down these kind of like deeper, darker, I don't know, rabbit holes, I guess, where they might get into like more to stimulate themselves sexually in the bedroom. They might start asking their girlfriend or their wife to do a little bit more, I don't know how to put it, I guess hardcore stuff. I don't know, like just things outside of the standard intercourse. It could lead them into going that. So these things absolutely have real life effects. This isn't just simple, oh, okay, some guy, goes on a site and, does his business and then that's it, bada bing, bada boom. It's like, no, there's more to it than
guys shoot their shot. Guys is sliding in a lot of chicks' DMs. If a man has the proclivity to be a tendency, if he's in a relationship to flirt with one girl, he's not just flirting with that one girl, he's flirting with many girls. What I'm saying is if a man
I'd call them boys though. Like I'd call them boys.
If a man has a tendency to be watching OnlyFans content and consuming that, you think he's watching one girl? No, he's watching many girls. So what I'm saying is with you.
Wait, so if I'm subscribed to 2 OnlyFans creators, am I cheating on?
No, what I'm saying is your analogy of including this emotion is much different than my analogy to diddly. My analogy to diddly wasn't speaking about emotions. It was speaking about how the woman would interpret it. Forget about.
Yeah, and you're saying one's worse than the other. I disagree.
No, I don't think you're accurately grasping how most people would react to their boyfriend watching porn versus flirting with someone in DMs.
And I just want to point out that we are veering a little away from the topic. Only I understand the direction you're going, David. But I think we could do a better job of wrapping it back around to society. I mean, in terms of the harm piece, that's kind of like a sub category. I would like to focus a little more on the harm versus society aspect, and not the micro pieces of it.
Yeah, we really are yet to even discuss like any way that it's harmful to society. I know Cooley brought up before harms being done to an individual from masturbating and getting addicted to it. Like I mentioned in my opening statement, though, like it's really important that we don't see correlation as causation. I think people with mental issues tend to be the ones veering off into like these addictions, including whether that be like a sex addiction or video games, masturbation, whatever. It doesn't mean that the thing itself is bad. It's just often people with like poor mental health conditions tend to kind of have these negative behaviors, addictive behaviors.
I think like corn and stuff, I think it has the same effects on your brain as doing like heroin or like, not specifically heroin, but just doing drugs in general. Okay. Like you could argue that like, because there's maybe some people out there that could be a functioning heroin addict, like there are some people that could do heroin casually and be a functioning member of society. But I would say overall, heroin is quite addicting and quite dangerous. And that's the same thing with the addiction to corn. There's a lot of men out there that defend it, but because they're addicted to it and they don't want to admit it, they don't want to admit that it's a bad thing to society. Yet, are there some men that could just casually, pleasure themselves and then, function in society? Yeah, of course. But the thing is that there's a lot of men who are like, say, ashamed to talk about, ED, for instance. So they're not going to come out and say like, yeah, I got ED now because I pleasured myself too much. And there's not a lot of men too that are going to say things that like, that they watch a lot of freaking corn. There's just not a lot of men that are going to do that. There's not a lot of men that are going to come out and actually admit how many times they pleasure themselves. So, but I think if you look at a lot of society today, how there's a lot of issues, like I'm I don't have stats in front of me, but I'm willing to say there's a lot more men taking, pills nowadays, for ED than there were in the past. Before we looked at it as like older men just take it, but now I've seen more like younger guys taking it and stuff. You don't think there's any causation, like there's any correlation with the rise of easier access to corn? That's their always defense. So like, that doesn't mean it's causation. They just have already addictive personalities. Like, no, I think there is something about corn that makes people addicted.
Okay, so you're saying that it's not the majority of people that would get addicted. It's like the more vulnerable people would maybe get addicted to the content.
Well, no, they would just like cope with their poor mental health by, I don't know, spending a lot of time jacking off or spending a lot of time playing video games. I think you brought it up more as a point as like masturbation is bad, and this is why, because some people do it a lot. But I think you were kind of making a causal claim rather than correlative.
Yeah, so what I'm saying, well, masturbation was...
By the way, Diddly Donger makes a ton of money on OnlyFans. She said she's one of the top content creators. So clearly, by the evidence that she's doing well for herself on OF, I think that's proof right there that there's a lot of men subscribing to her. That this isn't just like some kind of like, there's just, I guess there's just a lot of mentally ill men out there then. A lot of mentally ill men that are coping by subscribing to Diddly Donger's content. And you know what? Even if that were the case, let's say that is true, that there's a lot of mentally ill men, a lot of mentally unwell men that are just using her content or other girls' OF content to cope with whatever they got going on in their real lives. Well, why are you adding to that? Why are you contributing to it? Wouldn't you want to help these men? Wouldn't you want to rather address the real life problems that actually might be causing them to go and subscribe to OF girls? Wouldn't you rather contribute to that? No, you'd rather make money off of these men and their health problems.
It's not just the masturbation that's harmful. If you listen to my opening, it's harmful for the woman as well. What I said in my opening. What do you mean by
that? Like women masturbating is harmful as well, or it's...
No, women being content creators. The women that get into this space of creating OnlyFans content. I would say that it's harmful to them.
To me,
and it's also harmful.
How's it harming me?
And it's also harmful to the consumers as well. That's what I would say.
I would love to hear how you think it's harming me.
I could say many reasons. How old are you?
I'm 27.
27? Yeah, I would say that. Do you plan on having kids at all?
Sure.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You don't think that, your content, if it's, leaked or if, it's out there for people to see publicly, or even if just someone gets access to it, a family member or a family of a friend, and they show your child, you don't think that that will be harmful to your child and also be harmful to you?
I don't see something like this ever realistically happening, but even if it did, I think I would cut off that freak family member because they're clearly insane. Why are they showing that to my child? Yeah, I don't see how that's harmful to me personally based on a bizarre hypothetical.
Well,
it's not some kind of bizarre hypothetical. It happens. A lot of these women that have done some kind of nudity, like public nudity, whether it be posing for Playboy or doing corn or what have you, their children end up paying the price for it. It's not like a one-off thing. It's not like a rare thing. It happens a lot. And by the way, it's not like the family member is going to subscribe and be like, oh, look at this. This is your mom. Like, it could be like, what if it could be brought up in different situations. Also, what about like your father's friends or something like that, who get wind like, hey, I found freaking Bill's daughter on OF, and subscribe and stuff like that. It's just like, do you not care about not only your parents' reputations, your family's reputation, but even your future children's reputation? Are you that selfish and just focused on solely making money that you're willing to risk all of these things?
Well, what I'm saying here is it it could be a family member, it could be, you know, anyone. I'm just trying to illustrate the fact that you're 27 years old. You said that you don't think that it's harmful to you currently. And, you know, I could go ahead and say, fair enough, maybe it's not harmful to you currently, but in the future, there's a high probability, since you want to have kids as well, there's a high probability that it will be harmful to your kids. And that's something that you would have regret for. So back to the question, if you plan on having kids and somehow, some way, it happens a lot. This content gets leaked on Twitter all the time. It does happen. It does happen a lot. When
leaking, yes, but people showing it to their child doesn't happen a lot.
So why would a parent show it to someone's child? What I'm saying that if it's leaked, right? If it's leaked online, do you know that like 11-year-olds, stats show that all the way down to ages as young as 11, they have access to pornography and they're watching, you know, porn at that young age. And you do believe, you already said when you were speaking already, that pornography to children is harmful, right? Sure. Okay. So what I'm asking you saying that, well, no, Cooley, it's not harmful to me. I'm just pointing out a hypothetical here and saying, if your child, because you do plan on having kids, can somehow consume your content via a friend, via a family member, via it being leaked on Twitter, because those things do happen. Do you think that it would do harm to your child?
Like if they're getting bullied or something, yeah, sure. But like I stated kind of in the beginning of the debate, I don't think this has like any kind of bearing on what I'm actually doing.
Just see it.
So Diddly Donger earlier in the debate says she doesn't really she doesn't do full nudity or something. Like she does like I think she tells like sexual stories on OF, like and she'll I think she like her breasts or like I think she had, I don't know, but it's not full nudity. I think her breasts are exposed, but I don't even know if they're fully exposed or she has pasties on or something like that. That's what she said she does. So to her, because she's not showing full nudity and stuff like that, well, she doesn't think it's as harmful to her, which, you know, okay, listen, even if specifically she's correct because she doesn't do a full nude content, she's not getting like railed by guys on her OF account, that doesn't mean that in general that's not happening on OnlyFans, that there aren't women showing full nudity, that there aren't women out there getting railed by guys on their OF. And that doesn't mean that it's not happening. That's overall what is on OF. And the question isn't, is Diddly Donger's specific situation harmful to society? It's if all of OF is harmful to society.
Let's just say, even if your child sees your content with your cheeks
in
out,
the same way
that
a lot of kids, in the same way a lot of kids walk in on their parents having sex, and if they don't know what's going on, they're not properly, okay, can I finish? So if they're not properly educated on what sex is, and like this can be kind of a shocking thing for them to see. I've heard a lot of stories of people being traumatized by even just hearing their parents have sex, you know? But I think this can be largely mitigated through the parents educating their children on, you know, safe sex, and just sex in general, you know?
So you would,
that's not an answer to what he said. He's talking about her specific children. What does walking in on your parents doing the horizontal mambo have anything to do with it? No, you're talking about getting bullied. What does more education have to do with preventing bullying? It's about a kid who wants to bully another kid, and it's about a kid who finds another kid's mom's OF account or old nudes or something like that, and wanting to embarrass him and humiliate him and bully him and be like, ha ha, look, your mom's a whore, and all of these things. What does that have to do with walking in on your parents?
Your kid to thinking that what you are doing. Yeah,
Do you think
that's
sex education is
manipulation.
manipulation?
No. The manipulation that you would do is talking to your kid and say, hey, mommy does this for money, but it's what mommy is into. It's my career. So if you see it or if someone show it to you, just know that this is why we have this house and this car, because I'm doing this for you, which is manipulation. So what I'm saying here is this, please answer the question. You have it. If you have a child, I have kids, right? So I know that the things that harm my children would cause me harm because I don't want my child to feel any harm. So if they're harming my child, they're harming me. Remember, your conclusion was that I don't experience any harm. I'm saying that maybe not now, but in the future, when it does happen, hypothetically, if it does happen, and your child views some of your content or is bullied, it will harm your child, which then it would harm you.
This is actually
maybe
a great
you don't experience any
you're
harm
a
now,
YouTuber,
but
right?
you would experience
you
some
a
harm
YouTuber?
in the future.
You are a YouTuber, correct?
Correct.
You did like red pill content. Do you think that you would agree with that?
I don't consider myself red pill.
Sure.
But,
okay.
I speak about the reality of male and female intersexual dynamics.
All right. So if your child at school is getting bullied because people find your YouTube channel and they go, haha, look at what this dude's dad is saying. Oh my God, what a loser.
Guess
Do you think that means YouTube is harmful to society doing YouTube?
Let her finish.
Yes, let me actually answer your question with in reality anecdotal experience. My daughter is 13, and guess what? The teachers consume my content, right? Some of her friends, mothers, and fathers consume my content, and it has been nothing but praise. And that your father is a wise man, a smart man. It has been good things. You know why? Because the career path that I chose isn't showing my booty crack online. You get it?
Sure, so
it's different. It's not degenerate. I just answered your question. I answered it. It doesn't
said if
happen.
your child was getting bullied because they found your channel for whatever reason, they go, oh my God, look at what this guy's loser dad is making online. Look at what he's saying. Does that mean that what you're doing is harmful to society?
That doesn't even correlate with anything that we were speaking about, and I already answered the question that it did happen, but they said good things. So let's just say hypothetically,
you know what a hypothetical
it was something that was bad. Yeah, let's say hypothetically it was exactly what you said. It was something negative, right? They had a negative experience. And someone said, hey, the content that your father is making, I didn't like what he said, right? I didn't like what he said. The things that he said wasn't good. Versus the type of content that you make. Not said, I seen your mom's cheeks hanging out her little shorts, clapping, right? I seen your mom's cheeks. That's much different. That's much different.
I'm not saying someone comes up to your child and has a mere disagreement about your content. I'm saying they are getting bullied. Does that mean, because your child is getting bullied for your content, that what you're doing is harmful to society?
Demonstrate how someone can be bullied by watching
that is a yes or no question.
Yeah, she's running a line of logic with you now.
But YouTube, though, has different channels for different people. You could watch YouTube for makeup tutorials. You could watch YouTube for video games gameplay. You could watch channels for political commentary. You could watch YouTube for all sorts of different things. You could watch YouTube to learn how to fix a dishwasher, which I had to do before. YouTube actually has purpose. So with that, you could say, no, it's not harmful to society. Yes, there are people that do promote harmful things on YouTube, but YouTube itself has terms of service. They have things to try to mitigate that. But it also has practical use. Like, there are good things that are actually helpful to people. How now is OF helpful to people? How is what Diddly Donger does? Diddly Donger does. Don't do what Diddly Donger do. Okay, never mind. What does Diddly Donger do that is helpful to society? How is it that if Diddly Donger, her OF account were to disappear right now, how is society going to be harmed by that? What do we need Diddly Donger for? The answer is we don't need OF. It is not helpful to society, encouraging men to self-pleasure themselves, and spend money on girls to see girls nude online or to get their rocks off online is not positive for society. There's more arguments to why it is a net negative than a net positive.
See what she's asking. She's asking for the yes or no. Does that still constitute as bullying if a child walks up and says, "Oh, I saw your dad on this stupid podcast," like,
No,
you're a dum-dum or
no, it
whatever.
doesn't. That's why I'm
Would
asking
that
her to
still
demonstrate
constitute
it.
as bullying?
Yeah, I said no, it wouldn't, because demonstrate how someone can be bullied watching my content. But I can demonstrate how someone can be bullied.
Saying that
Go ahead.
women are this and men need to be this, and like, so your child gets bullied as a result.
No, demonstrate it. That's not saying anything.
What do you mean demonstrate it?
Demonstrate it. That's not a demonstration.
Okay. Hi there. I saw your dad's podcast last night. He's really fucking stupid. Is that really your dad? Oh my god, I feel so sorry for you. Is that a good demonstration?
That was pretty good.
Thank you.
What I mean by demonstrate, I mean show how it can produce harm. Show how that would produce harm.
That was actually my question to you. That's why we kind of went down this whole rabbit hole.
No, that's been my question, and both of you avoided the question of harm.
So if your child is getting bullied because of your YouTube channel, does that mean that what you are doing, being a YouTuber, is harmful to society?
I already said no, because you can't demonstrate how they would experience harm.
Wait, so we completely agree that if my child gets bullied, that has no bearing on whether or not what I'm doing is harmful to society?
Incorrect. Active
we
listening
just walked
skills.
you all the way down here.
No one walked you all the way down here to the conclusion.
I think the actual question would be, is bullying harmful to society overall?
Exactly. They've been trying to avoid that question.
Well, no. I'm actually asking you, David, because her potential child being bullied for something that she's doing versus your child being bullied for something you're doing. We're not going to make the analogy between the two types of content, right? Because I mean, even if you were a Hollywood movie star, I would imagine if you had a child, they could still be bullied because your parent was on a movie that didn't do so well or whatever, right? Any type of celebrity on-screen lifestyle can still have a potential threat to your children overall. So I think the question that we should be asking is bullying harmful to children for society overall, right? And that's why I say we can't make the comparison between the two types of content. So I don't know if it's necessarily part of the actual debate piece of it, only because we could run down that line of logic and any type of bullying would in fact be harmful overall, right? Would everybody agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I don't think that all types of bullying is harmful, especially when it comes to men. That I think that men are okay with some bullying, and actually some bullying can be good for boys at a young age.
Your winky.
Hold on. So I want to make sure we clarify. So I think you might be referring to the form of shaming, because there is a differentiation between shaming someone for doing what we perceive as bad behavior and so on and so forth. You're overweight, you're acting like a skank, you're doing this, whatever. Like shaming behavior could be perceived as better. But I want to make sure we differentiate where we're talking, only because it makes for the piece of the debate.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get into, actually. So if we're speaking,
so I guess that is a point that it's like, well, because your child might get bullied, is that alone enough to say that OF is bad for society? And well, no, not that alone. But the fact of the matter is that, like, as a YouTuber, you might or might not get bullied for being a YouTuber. Likewise, if you're an actor or an actress, you might or might not get bullied. I guess it's the type of bullying you get, because I would say there's a big difference between getting bullied because, the kids at school saw your mom's breasts, and it's online for everyone to see and stuff like that. I would say that's a different type of oof, that's harmful, than if I don't know, you're a movie star or something like that, or even a YouTuber. It's just different when there's kids at your school and it says, I heard, look, I saw a video of your mom giving fellatio to, I'm substituting words here, giving fellatio to like 2 guys. Man, your mom could really do that. Yeah, I've seen your mom scarf down hot dogs, if you know what I mean. It's just a different type of thing than, hey, aren't you that rich kid who dad's a movie star?
Bullying, I would say that there's areas in bullying that's harmful, and then there's areas in bullying that's not harmful. What I'm saying here, her asking me the question, my content, my child consuming my content, I would say that the area where someone can be bullied will be not harmful. But consuming her content, the area where someone can be bullied is harmful, because it's your mom and it's naked videos and pictures of your mom. That's much different.
Just to be clear,
people have a
are
different
you
repulsion.
supporting kids getting bullied?
People are repulsed much differently when it comes to seeing.
See, like when she gets cornered or something, she deflects like that, and that's one of the things about why Diddly Donger is is like super annoying. But also too, we all know that she's doing this out of selfishness. It's because she's making a lot of money from this. That's it. She's making a lot of money, and so she doesn't want to stop doing it. So of course, if OF shuts down because we deem it, this is harmful to society, of course it's going to harm her. That's her freaking, that's her money stream. I think that's where a majority of her income comes from, or at least a good portion. And the fact that she doesn't show full nudity, I think it shows that even she knows that there are some things wrong with doing that.
From their parents, rather than, oh, well, your dad said something about this. That's much different than seeing your mom's butthole online. Do you get it? It's totally different. Like the type of bullying that's going to happen is going to be harmful.
Your child bullying someone because their mom did OnlyFans?
Repeat the question.
Would you support your child bullying my child because I do OnlyFans?
Would I support my child bullying your child because he's seen some of your content online?
No, because I do OnlyFans.
Because you do OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Yes. Bully that little kid. Listen, if it's out there, I say bully all of them. Oh,
all right. I see that as much more a reflection of you than me personally.
Great. Listen, your mom footage guy. I think that those women that do OnlyFans should be shamed. If Lil Kenny find the content that he didn't want to see anyway, and he got a friend Byron, hey, listen, Byron, Lil Kenny should walk with the Byron. Listen, bro, your mom's butthole is online. Kids already bully kids anyway.
Hold up. I want to know.
Okay. Listen. All right. Listen, I like Raging Tomato, I like Sarah, but like, just let him cook here. Let him cook. Because you know what? I had the same answer. When he said, you know what? Yes, I was sitting here like, yep. You know what? Normally, I would not encourage my kids to bully. I would not. But if Diddly Donger's kid was going to my school, yep, I think I would encourage that. I would be like, you know what? If my kid got in trouble for bullying her kid, and my kid came home and said, this is why I got in trouble, of course, in the principal's office or whatever, I'd be like, it's wrong to bully, wink, wink. And then when we left, I'm like, let's go get some ice cream. Because you know what? Fuck Diddly Donger. Like, really? Like, for real? Fuck Diddly Donger. And you know what? Like, bottom line is, it's not even just about like, screwed like Diddly Donger. It's like, no, she clearly doesn't care about her kids. Like, she does not... like if she's willing to put her immediate happiness and all the money that she's bringing in, and she didn't say like, well, I wouldn't want my, and she doesn't feel like she has to do any changes in her life or anything to mitigate the, cause look, even as a YouTuber, like, you know what I mean? Like, I try to mitigate my chances of my children being bullied and stuff like that. I try to mitigate it, you know? But she is not going to try to mitigate it. She thinks it's fine. She thinks, it's fine. She's going to encourage women. She's going to say that it's all right for women to do it. Blah, blah, blah. She has no concerns about anyone but herself. So you know what? In my opinion, she's getting what she asks for. That's just my opinion. Now, I'm going to end it here because Diddly Donger is kind of infuriating to listen to. And the fact that they're not letting Cooley cook here, you know what I mean? That they want to cut him off and like, wait a minute. No. Yeah, listen. Nuh-uh. No. Diddly Donger does not deserve our sympathy. She brings this on herself. She wants to make tons of money off of men getting after her. Doesn't matter what's going on in their own relationship. And listen, by the way, I'm not saying personal responsibility isn't a thing with the men. I'm not saying that, oh, they're victims or anything like, no, absolutely not. They need to control themselves and not spend money on Diddly Donger's content or any of these girls' content. No, guys, stop it. Stop it. It's partially right. These women are partially right when they say, well, if the men didn't subscribe to us, then we would be out of a job. They're absolutely right. So you know what? I am not saying that they are void of responsibility. Absolutely, there is responsibility there. But there's also responsibility on these women's parts. Same thing with drug dealers. A drug dealer can say, well, you know, if people didn't buy drugs from me, then I would be out of the job. Yeah, absolutely right. They would be. But you know what? You also have a part to play because they are hooked on your content. They are addicted to this stuff, and you're not trying to do anything to try to mitigate it. You're profiting off of it. So you are sick, you are wicked, and you're just downright evil. So I have no sympathy for this girl. So if she has kids in the future and her kids get bullied, you know what? I ain't going to give zero shits. But what did you guys think about this? And how did you guys think Cooley did debating this wicked Diddly Donger on the Raging Tomatoes channel? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Give this video a like if you liked it. That'll help me out a lot. And if you really liked it, please consider subscribing to my channel. That'll also help me out a lot. If you like seeing debates like this, I have more debates for you on the screen, as well as a lot more content on my channel that I think you'll enjoy.